Hi everyone, welcome to Dave's Bonsai. On today's episode, the Chinese elm root over rock needs some adjusting. Looking back at my records, it's been 2 years since I repotted the Chinese elm. This is in my cold frame, and as you can see, we got some really nice light green buds pushing out. So this thing wants to grow. I'd like to have started to do this work just before it pushed, but we're still in a safe zone to get this thing repotted. You see this root right here? Yeah, this broke off. It's one of my major roots that was going over the rocks, and this one is probably still clinging on. But all my roots have kind of slowly died off of this tree, so I'm a little concerned, and I just want to kind of see what it's looking like, the root system. So we're going to go ahead and repot today. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to take off these rocks, and we're going to dig into this guy and see what it's all about. While I get this guy out of the pot, let's go outside real quick, and I'll show you my new watering system. Well, it's a collection system. How about that? My brother Brian is in town from New York this week, and he helped me with some shooting of my water collection system. So I got 2 barrels last year, if you might remember from past shows, and I have them underneath the deck, but I had to get the water source to them. I'll show you what we did. For today's project, we have to move some water. So the gutters are slowly getting that water down on the left side of the deck here, to our left. And I had it into a barrel that was broken, so I have to replace the barrel. I got a couple of barrels. They're over here on this side of the deck, about 30 feet away. So I picked up those barrels last spring. We need the water from the gutter over here to travel all the way over to there, and we're going to have a system that goes under the deck. So let's check out what we've done so far. My barrel's in position. They got a 2-inch opening on the top. They're all sealed. I cleaned them out last year, and so we need the water to come from all the way up on the other side of the house into these barrels. So you can see the end result here of some of our PVC piping. So we have them J-hooked up to the deck, and they're with a screen right here to prevent any sedatives getting in there, and there's some water right there. So once it builds up, we got just a little bit of melting going on. The water's traveling all the way from the gutter down the pipe into this first one. I will have this one capped off. When this barrel's full, I'll pull this off and cap it, and then open this one up. We'll fill this barrel. When they're done, I'll pull them both off here, have them capped off, and the water will drain down here under the deck over out to the yard area. So this is the end result. We got to see where it all started from. So let's go check out the other side of the house. My gutter system comes on the back side of the house. This is the north side of the house, so it's pretty shaded. But all the melting snow, or when it rains, it's going to come right down here to this coupler. We've got 4-inch here, and it goes down to 3-inch inside the black part here. Kind of goes down into 3-inch, and then goes from 3 to 2, and we go from the 2 to the 1.5, which goes all the way to the barrels. Gutter here fits brilliantly right in the 4-inch piece here. So the rain's all going to go in there. On a storm, this might bubble over a little bit if it's really heavy, but this is 1.5-inch in pipe. I think will be good. It's going to come down here. It gets the elbow here, and then from this side of the deck all the way to the barrels is about 30 feet. So this is going to travel all the way down, and then it's going to go and take a right and head into those barrels. Let's get a close-up here of this system underneath the deck. At first glance, everything's looking pretty good. The water's being collected in the front end there by the gutter. It's coming down the pipe and going towards the barrel, and the drips are over at the barrel going into the barrel already, so we're in good shape. There are a couple spots here that we have some drips, and I'm having a tough time figuring out. I think some of it's coming from the deck from the melting snow, but at the junctions, we do have a few subtle drips. So we're going to go ahead and put our cement on these guys once this dries out and the rain stops and this melting cycle stops. We'll get some cement in there, and so it'll be sealed up from top to bottom, and we'll be in good shape. So spring has returned. We had a tough stretch here with lows into the teens and 20s. We could barely get out of 35 degrees for a couple of days, but now the sun's out in all its glory. It's 45 degrees. Things are melting, and the trees are feeling good here on the benches and ready to get into that spring mode and hopefully push out some new growth. You might be wondering how I'm going to get that water from the barrels under the deck about 50 feet away from here to here. I'm not entirely 100% sure, but I'm going to get a pump system, and I'm going to get a powerful enough pump that I'll get one of those collapsible hoses, and then I can stretch it out to here, and we'll get some water here from those barrels, because we want rainwater as much as possible. So these trees will be loving life. And then the other bench that I built last year over to my right will also be only another 10 feet away to stretch over there. So I think we'll be good. We'll check out some of the ratings of the pumps and see how powerful a one we need to get the fresh rainwater where they need to go. It'll be great to see how that comes to fruition. I've got to find that pump, do some research, and see if I can get a pump that'll get enough pressure so I can go water those trees out on the benches. Let's see what we got here with this guy. I found one wire here that's holding the tree down, but there we go. We got those clipped out. That's one. It's good to see all the new early growth on this guy, but I've just been concerned about this root growth over the course of the last year. All of these roots kind of falling out of the main trunk line. They just kind of die off. There we go. There's one wire. Oh, that's good to see. I love to see all those roots down there. So look at that. Some nice long roots down there. My drainage screen popped right out of the pot there. So time to tease away some of this soil and see what we got going here for this root system. So I have a rock under here yet, and I don't know where the other rock is. There's the other wire. Yeah, so this root over rock started about 4 years ago now. I put it under its first pot with a rock where the roots were. And then 2 years ago, after 2 years of growth, I went ahead and I shifted the rock a little bit, and I raised the tree out of the pot just a little bit to get some more roots exposed. Now this tree from the beginning had a really coiled root, and you can see right now this was all under the ground before, because this was where some of the roots started. So now it looks like just a big jumbo aerial root because I took the rock out of there. So we have this rock sitting in here to try to have a root over rock look. But it didn't take. And what I mean by it didn't take, these roots that were sticking out the most all slowly died off. So I'm not sure, but I'm going to get a lot of roots down here. There we go. There's the rock. That rock falls out of there. So we have all these leggy roots here, so the tree is growing pretty well under here. Our roots were growing around the pot here. We'll probably be cutting most of those off. And I don't know. This one just, one of the ones that died away. But this one here, this one's died off. So we're going to cut that off. So the tree has done a good job of shooting out roots. They're just circling around and around at the bottom of the pot, and you can see right there, look at that. Look at the length on these roots. And we're not going to be keeping any of that length. Alright, now we can comb these roots out a little bit better, and there's the rock that's placed underneath there. So look at that, I had that rock underneath this whole root system. So you see I've got kind of this hollow cave in here where the roots have been growing over. So I still might be able to put this over a rock because I have that cave under there. It's just that these roots up here are just no longer going to be needed. It doesn't really work with the design. So we have this kind of radial root pattern around this tree. And now I can shove another rock up there, and we can still have a root over rock. So you can't even see my fist in there because we have this to go under a great big rock if I have the right rock. So my dilemma has always been this part of the root right here. It wraps around right here, but that slowly seems to be dying off. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to get our bigger cutters and see if we can cut this away. there's nothing even on there. And I would assume, yeah, there's nothing growing from this section right here. So this root system was big and gnarly, and we're going to clean it up here. So a lot of roots alive, a lot of fine feeder roots, a lot of wider roots, so we still can put root, I think, over rock. I'm not going to trim these up very much taller at the moment, because I want to see how they're all going to fit. So as I continue to comb out these roots, I got some real long ones that we're wrapping around. We'll cut those at the very end because we want to see which ones we're going to keep and see if we're going to be hugging around what size root and how these might end up flaring around. So here's the big root right here. So we are going to continue to cut that a little bit shorter. There's a root underneath it here. There's some roots. That one bounced right off my shoulder and it went right into the pot. How fantastic was that? Okay. They have more roots underneath, but they're coming from a different part of this root structure, so I'm still going to be able to cut off a little bit more right there. So we got some hummus or some pumice pieces in here that are pretty thick. A very interesting root structure here. These have been growing really interestingly. So I think I can go in here one more time. That off. It did have one really nice root growing on there, but I think that was a good cut. Got some roots that are tangled here. We can bring those out this direction. These are tangled. So if I flip this around, you'll see I've got a really big, strong root growing this way. And if I look at it this way too, there's a big root here. They're all shooting this way, almost like the roots are windswept. So it's not a very nice radial pattern, but that's a real strong root in there. So I don't think I want to damage that one. And if you look in the back here, all these roots swoop in here. So I don't know if there was a rock here, if this was part of the planting before, so I forced them down. And now if I have it higher than that, that's kind of not as desirable right there, because you got all those roots going in that really, really interesting direction straight under the tree. So if I cut that one and pull it out, yeah, there's a root that went underneath the tree. Here's another one that was growing underneath the tree. So there's plenty of roots growing from underneath the tree. I don't want them all. This one comes out a little more radial right there, so I like that. I don't like that one either. See, there we go, another long radial root that came right out from there. So under here I just took out 3 roots from right there. And this one comes down in a weird, weird way. And I'm wondering if we can cut this gnarl out. But that could look good over the rock too, so. So we have this big gaping hole right in here. There we go, there's our, so if we take one of our big rocks, and we have this thing growing over a rock, we still can pull this off. There's a root right at the bottom. Let's show you that root. right here. There's a root right there that goes straight down. This one right here. It grows straight down from the bottom of this section, and it doesn't allow me to lay this flat on a rock. So there we go, get rid of that big one. And I see one more in the bottom here that I can cut that one out. We can see how it's going to maybe sit on this rock and see if we want to continue this pattern or maybe just grow it in a normal pot. I don't know. What are we going to do here? So it's almost like I need the next bigger rock. I don't think I have the next bigger rock. I'll show you a picture, as I've showed before, of my inspiration for my root over rock designs. It's a picture of a tree up at the North Shore in northern Minnesota in the Superior Hiking Trail. And I always go back to that image because it's just such an amazing tree with all those roots that are growing around that rock. Pretty fun stuff. And I have a lot of roots up here. We're not going to be able to use all the roots. I'm wondering if I can hug it around this way. So to bring it around your way here, if we go up down vertical this way with the root in the pot, could the tree grow that way? As you can see, the tree has a nice curve this way and goes up here, and the roots just all shoot that way and want to hug the rock here. So one of my issues of this tree has always been the way the tree is growing. The tree's growing this way or this way with the root or all the branch structure. So you got this nice curve that comes this way and this way and this way, but then all the branches are kind of thin on a plane like this. My hand is this way, it's not this way. And so I've got all these great roots that shoot out that way, but in order to see all those roots, you're going to have to twist it a different way to maybe see it. So I have to decide if I want to keep this root over rock concept. And if I do, how can I twist the tree so I can see the better design of the tree? And of course, if this is the front of the tree, you know, can I bring this over here with wire? I certainly can. This is still a branch that's bendable, and some of these be shifted more. This has been a little bit more of a brittle tree, and so I've had to be careful with wiring. So I have to just peek at this root system and this rock that I've used and see if it's something that I want to incorporate in the design still. If you can see that if I wrap the roots around the rock like this, I can have a root system that completely engulfs this rock and goes under here and continues to grow. wind screens are in the pot. I think I have a design I'm thinking about with the rock. I think I'm gonna go like this, a little bit more towards the audience this way, move some roots around, get some radio roots. We'll have more width on the tree. We're gonna see if we can make that work. So here's what I'm thinking. I've got this tree coming from the back up here. It goes this way and curves over this way. Now you can see a big portion of the tree. A lot of my damage on the back side here. I was able to move some of these roots over the rock here in a nice way to get some more growth, hopefully, from these roots. So we're going to tuck those in and have the soil help hold that in. And it looks to be another 2 years before we can have more rock exposed, because this will have to be held tight to this rock. And again, to do that, I might just go ahead and place this rock right there to hold this down. The problem with the design currently is this should be over here, not this far over here. So I successfully moved it over beyond the halfway point, but now it seems to be tucked a little bit too far down, a little bit too cascadey-like. So I'm wondering if I can just inch it up in the pot just ever so slightly over here. Now it's a little too slanted forwards. Can I make it go backwards just a little bit? So as it stands right now, I've got quite a different look with this moving far to my left, your right. It doesn't grip the rock back here like I'd really like it to, so it seems to have slipped a little bit. And when I move it up like that, it loses its feel. So I think I have to take this whole thing out and start over. The planting didn't go quite as planned. I'm due to go out to dinner with my brother who's in town, and my mom and stepdad and my wife. We're going to go out and have a really nice dinner. So I'm at a spot where time has kind of got the best of me here. Oops. And I had to make a quick decision. So I put a rock down flat. I put this rock in the back to have it lean against that rock. So now when you pull it up in a couple of years, it'll be between two rocks, and we'll see if those roots can thicken up a little bit. And they're all going to be below the soil line this time, so hopefully they will take and keep growing. It did grow really well in this pot. Just the surface ones didn't have as much luck. So hopefully underneath this new rock structure here, we'll be good to go. So as you look at the tree, it's kind of loose too. I don't have to put a rock up there top. Some more heavy rocks. Maybe I'll put this one up here or something for now. Well, once we get some water in here, it'll help seal that up a little bit. The tree is coming at us now. It's coming at us and going up over here. So again, should I have planted this over here? I'm just not even going to risk it at this point. We're going to let this grow the way it's supposed to grow this year. We'll give it some water and we'll call it a day for this one. Didn't quite go according to plan, but hey, you know, trial and error with bonsai. I want to make sure the roots get moist. I did spray them off a little bit. Let's get them wet. Let's maybe make a few prunes and we'll call it. We've got this watered and ready to go back into the cold frame. So that's all I'm going to be able to do for it tonight. We got some good food waiting, so I'm going to go out with my family and have a great meal, and we'll put this in the cold frame, and hopefully we can get this trimmed up a little bit here in the next couple of weeks. We are pushing buds here. I want to get this pruned up so we can get a kind of a more compact look and see where the new shoots are going to grow. So hey, that's going to do it for right now. So take care of you, take care of your bonsai, and we'll catch you very, very soon.